Iran and Hezbollah have accused the US and Israel of the blasts in Iran yesterday. Who do you see as being responsible?
The terrorist regime of Iran, let alone the terror organization called Hezbollah, are the kind who do horrific attacks against civilians, and thus they see the world. Israel has very much been targeting top terror operatives. We never attack civilians. The United States killed Qasem Soleimani. They never attack civilians. And in this case, I would say that both Iran and Hezbollah should look at themselves, who is against them within their own people, before they start accusing anybody else.
I saw this morning that the US is saying that they suspect it could have been ISIS. What do you think about that?
The Iranian regime is hosting right now, in the heart of Tehran, all sorts of terror organizations who are Sunni terror organizations. I don't know of ISIS being there. I do know Al-Qaeda being there, but they're being hosted. Who is against the Iranian regime? So many different elements, both within Iran and outside of it. Any of them could have done such an attack.
What does Israel need to do to defend its northern border? And do you see war breaking out at any point on the Israel-Lebanon border?
I'm a realist when it comes to Israel's northern border. Inside Lebanon, you have a heavily armed and trained terror army called Hezbollah, totally trained and armed by Iran. Israel needs to be sure that this terror army does not threaten us. How do you do that? A, it needs to move away. B, it needs not to be there. To be able to get that, if the international community has the capability to impact Hezbollah and Iran to move the troops, I'm all for it. I'm a realist. I do not think that the international community has any capability to make Hezbollah move. What does that mean? Yes, I do think that in time, Israel will militarily have to take care of Hezbollah's presence in the areas that directly threaten us, specifically southern Lebanon, but even further than that, throughout Lebanon.
What do you see as being the impact of the assassination of Hamas leader al-Aruri and the others killed on the hostage release negotiations?
Contrary to what people would like to think, Salah al-Aruri had nothing to do with the hostage negotiations. He was sitting in Lebanon. He was the head honcho for getting weapons, training, and capabilities into the different Hamas terror operatives, both in the West Bank and in the Gaza Strip. This has nothing to do with the hostages. I'll remind everybody, he himself, in his own words, took responsibility for the kidnapping and killing of the 3 Israeli youth in 2014. Salah al-Aruri was a top terrorist.
But do you see, Israel obviously hasn't accepted responsibility, but do you see this having an impact regardless of who carried out the assassination, in terms of Israel has said that a military pressure on Hamas is important to bring Hamas to more serious negotiations? Do you see it influencing the negotiations in that way, or do you see it as being a red flag and Hamas saying, no, we're now not talking?
Israel has been very clear throughout this campaign that we are against the different Hamas levels. This is both the tunnels, this is against the operatives, this is against the cache of weapons, and it certainly is against their leadership. They planned and executed the horrific acts of October 7th, but that was just the beginning of the campaign. They took the hostages and they're continuing to fire into Israel. In this case, the assassination of al-Aruri by whoever did it is part of that overall campaign, and every single Hamas leader should feel both targeted, scared, and we're going to get to them at the end.
Israeli Defense Minister Gallant has said that Israel is defending itself on 7 fronts. Is Israel prepared to take on all 7?
Israel is taking on all 7, and we have been every single day. One of those fronts, Hamas specifically in the Gaza Strip, did a horrific attack, and yet we're standing. Hamas have tried to attack for years inside Judea and Samaria, the West Bank, and yet we're taking care of that. When we look at Hezbollah in Lebanon, who are waiting to open up a bigger front, we are standing strong. And as I say that, that's just 3 out of the 7. We know how to handle them all. It isn't easy. It isn't pretty. We are both resilient as a people and very strong as a military.
The US has said this morning that they see signals that Hezbollah does not want an all-out war with Israel. Do you agree with that?
Hezbollah is both a Lebanese player and an Iranian proxy. It's both. Iran does not want Hezbollah to fully participate because Iran trained Hezbollah so that all of those capabilities would be used to protect Iran, not Hezbollah and not Lebanon. The question is, how does Hezbollah see it? I'm not sure. I think that they could expand it. I think we need to be ready for that. We are trying both to deter them, but also to make sure that those capabilities they have are destroyed as well.
EU Foreign Policy Chief Joseph Borrell has said that the international community, he believes, should impose a solution on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Do you think that would work, and what should the solution be?
I don't like the word solution. We're talking about a very long conflict between peoples. I don't think of it as a solution, but perhaps a resolution. Any place in the world that a resolution has been imposed has usually not worked. People need to understand and see the compromise that the two peoples can make, not from an outside imposition. Until October 7th, I would have perhaps agreed. I changed my mind after October 7th. I think that when you have a people that grow a Hamas, that do the type of planning and attack that they did on October 7th, you don't want to impose a resolution on Israel that includes leadership that chooses to take the path that Hamas took. So I would be very wary of something like that.
And what do you see as the solution?
I don't think that there is a solution. I think that there are resolutions which are compromises. The compromises themselves are from both sides. Israel needs to feel safe, secure, and that on October 7th cannot happen. The Palestinians deserve a much better future. They need to have a different leadership. For me, the kind of resolution is that they are going to look into the future and have a better future for themselves that does not include destroying us.